Hey guys, Sahira here. Today I have a confession to make. So here's the deal. Shimmies, right? Total quintessential movement in belly dance. For years, and I mean like years, like 12, 13 years, my shimmies sort of sucked. No, seriously, like they were less than fabulous. They were like okay at best, and some days they just didn't work at all. And it was so frustrating to me because I felt like a total belly dance poser. I was like, how can I call myself a professional belly dancer when my shimmy is like meh at best, right? Totally frustrating. But then just a few years ago, I finally landed on the exercises and the technique that I needed to be able to take my shimmy to a better, more confident, more comfortable, more dependable level. So if you are in a place where your shimmy is not quite up to par, I totally get it. I've been there. I was there for a really long time and it was super frustrating. Which is why I'm super excited to share with you today 3 tips that will take your shimmies from maybe meh to definitely more confident. It'll give you a way to work through these problems from perhaps a slightly different angle that will allow you to really hone in and hook into your shimmies in a way that you never have before. So, are you ready to join me and find those deep, earthy, big, loose, juicy shimmies that you have been looking for years? Then watch on, my friend. Shimmy tip number 1, try creating your shimmy with your legs in a slightly different position. The one that I've found the most useful, and here I'm talking about that Egyptian shimmy where the knees come all the way straight back and we create that nice all over big, loose, juicy shimmy that seems to emanate from the hips and the belly and everything kind of shakes. This is the shimmy I'm talking about. This method worked quite well for me to teach my legs exactly what they needed to be doing to create a shimmy that was more sustainable. So I invite you to sit on the floor and to straighten your legs out in front of you. Try to sit up as straight as you can. And I want you to think about bouncing the back of your knees off the floor. So you're bending your knees, but what's creating your shimmy is not the bend forward. It's the back part. It's that creating that little bounce on the back of the knee. So I'm literally like the back of my knee doesn't actually touch the floor because of the way the leg is curved, but I'm imagining sort of bouncing the back of my knee off the floor gently, like there was a trampoline there or something. What's going to create your shimmy in this Egyptian style knee shimmy is the bounce of the knee, of the back of the knee off the back side of your movement. It's not the front. That's important. If you focus on the front, you're going to get a bouncier sort of feel. Your head's going to go up and down, and your legs are going to get a lot more tired. So try practicing your shimmy from time to time in this position and allow your knees to just gently bounce off the floor. You'll find your thighs get a little tired, so it's a good thigh workout, which is a bonus. But this is going to be teaching your legs exactly what needs to happen. Don't take this any faster than you can take it evenly, because a lot of what creates inconsistent shimmies is one leg moving faster than the other, right? We all have a leg that's stronger or faster. And if that leg moves faster than the other, your shimmy, instead of being nice and loose and even, will kind of hiccup or stutter because your knees aren't working together. So this is one position to try. Another position that I find quite useful because it allows me to sort of relax in my legs a bit is widening my stance. Now I rarely shimmy in this position, but for practice sake, I do. So thinking about coming to standing and allowing the feet to be a little bit wider than usual, being sure I'm still creating my nice long spine, right? So I don't want to release in my booty. Nice long spine, my tailbone pointing towards the floor as much as possible, and then just relax, right? This is the kind of shimmy that you should be able to do for hours in theory without getting too tired, because it's not a lot of muscle action. It's a little bit more joint action that's going to create this all over wiggle that's happening, right? So thinking about letting the feet be really loose and apart, but grounding them in the floor, allowing the glutes to relax, allowing the thighs to relax. Do not engage in the thighs, and just letting those knees bounce, 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 bounce. Imagine a little bit of a reverb, like I said, like they're bouncing off of a trampoline behind you. And remember that the back is the important part, not the forward, right? If you concentrate on the forward, everything kind of starts to go a little haywire. The head starts to bounce up and down. It's the back that's important. So try it in a couple of different positions. Shift your weight around one foot or the other, or maybe to the toes, or maybe to the heels, because most likely you'll find one position that works best for you in the beginning, and then you can expand from there. Shimmy tip number 2. Beware of pulling up on your kneecaps in an attempt to get a fast, vibrating shimmy. A lot of times, when we hear that our knees are supposed to come to straight, we inadvertently pull up on the kneecap. Now, what I mean by this is if you imagine standing straight, right, coming into your basic belly dance posture where your feet are just inside of hip width apart, your feet are parallel, your knees are tracking out over your toes, you have your nice tuck in the pelvis, straighten your knees. And now imagine you're locking your knees behind you. So you'll find what happens is I engage in these muscles around the sides of my knees. I'm engaging to pull them back. And in that process, I'm pulling my kneecap up, right? So there's a very strong, I can feel my kneecap engaging here. I can feel those muscles strengthening around my knee. I can feel them getting a little bit tired. It actually even, I can feel it into my ankles. My feet want to pull back. Now release that, right? So I can still be straight legged without pulling up on the kneecap. Try that a couple times. Straighten your legs, pull up on the kneecap, which feels like it's locking my knee back just a little bit more. And now release that. Now bend the knee ever so slightly, right, to our home posture where we have that tiny micro bend. Now straighten the knee. Now pull up on the kneecap, release the kneecap, bend the knee to feel the difference, right? So we have our belly dance home posture, micro bend. We have straight knee shimmy posture. We come into that place for the shimmy. We pull up on the kneecap, which we don't do in the shimmy. So watch out for tension in the leg and for this feeling to start happening. A lot of times if your shimmies are very tall or small and start to vibrate, a lot of times it's because the kneecap has pulled up and you've found yourself in like a sort of a freeze position where everything is just vibrating because you've locked your knee too far back. So remember that in the course of making this knee shimmy, we've got to keep the knees relaxed. It might seem counterintuitive because they're doing so much work, but you want to keep the knees relaxed enough that they can gently bounce off of that straight place, but not go beyond straight into sort of maybe a hyperextended or a pulled back place, which will lock up your shimmy and make it very difficult to continue or sustain it over a long period of time. Shimmy tip number 3, and this one honestly for me was the biggest one, so I've saved the best for last. This also may seem very counterintuitive and you might be tempted not to do it, but I beg of you, this made night and day difference between my shimmies. I found that every year when I went to perform at the Texas Renaissance Festival here in Texas, my shimmies were better. And I thought, maybe I have seasonal shimmy, like it only works in the fall. That seems very strange. And I started to look at what was happening there. And I realized suddenly, and with great joy, that the difference was that the music that I was dancing to live with my amazing ensemble, Estampida, was slower than the traditional Egyptian and Greek music that I was dancing to in my restaurant gigs and in my classes. It was slower, and so I wasn't feeling the pressure to shimmy really fast. So, shimmy tip number 3 is to shimmy slowly. You can say, well, is it a shimmy if it's slow? Yes, we're going to say, for the sake of argument, that yes, you can shimmy slowly. At a certain point, if it gets so slow, I guess maybe it's not considered a shimmy, but I don't want you to take it to a very slow realm. I just want you to take it down from the like crazy fast shimmy that we're always tempted to do, especially when very fast music comes on. So the easiest way to practice slower shimmies is to put on slower music. Put on music that you'd never even shimmy to, that relaxes you and calms the body so that when you get your shimmy going, it's a really loose, jiggly, almost not a shimmy. And start there. And from there, allow yourself to speed up a little bit at a time and be aware of the fact that you do not have to match your shimmy tempo to the music. It is quite nice to make your shimmy tempo 16th notes on your music because then your shimmy kind of locks into the music. But if you're struggling with your shimmy, this is not going to help you. This is going to make it more frustrating. This is going to allow more hiccups, and this is going to create more inconsistent shimmies. So I would prefer you to, for now, work with slower music, or if you're working with fast music, try to allow yourself, give yourself the opportunity to relax. Give yourself that permission. But if you can, work to slow music and then you won't even be tempted to go fast. So when we do this, nothing changes about the technique. I'm still creating that straight legged shimmy. I'm still in my nice home posture. I'm still making sure that my knees come all the way back to straight, but do not lock, that my kneecaps do not pull up. My belly is relaxed. My glutes are relaxed. My thighs are relaxed. You literally want them to just wobble as you do this, right? Everything is really relaxed and those knees are just pulsing. Back, 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 back. It's about the back. It's not about the front. And I want you for this drill to take it really slow. I've got one more bonus tip for you, but this one might fall on the category of slightly extreme. And so it's not something that I would recommend doing if you didn't already have it in your life plan. But let me tell you that other than learning to shimmy slowly, the biggest thing that made my shimmies the like loose, comfortable, jiggly, can always be dependent on shimmies that I have today was having a baby. Like I said, pretty extreme. I would not recommend going out and having a baby just to have better shimmies, but know that if those plans are in your future, you might find your shimmy becomes something a little bit more spectacular after that baby's born. Maybe it's all the extra jiggle you get. Whatever. Use it for what it's worth, right? And take good advantage to it because the shimmies look a lot better when you've got a little something to shimmy. All right, so let's go ahead and drill our shimmy with these 3 tips in mind, the first 3 tips. The first one being that we're going to allow ourselves to drill our shimmy with our feet in a slightly different position. For today, we'll keep it standing and we'll think about a nice wide leg stance. Think about really sinking down into the pelvis. Think about relaxing. You can think about shifting your weight side to side, one foot to the other, maybe front to the toes, back to the heels, especially if you haven't found a good home space for your shimmy yet. Play with this and find if there's a spot that works better for you. We're also going to remember to not pull our kneecaps up, right? So even though we are coming to a straight leg, you're going to think about just gently straight, bouncing off that trampoline that's behind your knees, but never pulling the kneecaps up. So trying to keep as relaxed in the muscles around the kneecaps as possible. And the third thing we're going to do, which is the most important of them all, so don't forget this, make your shimmy nice and slow. No matter how much it seems weird to you to shimmy slowly, it's a thing, I promise you. It's a thing, and it's beautiful because your shimmy can be bigger, looser, more relaxed. You can do this for days. It feels good on the lower spine as long as you keep your pelvis tucked. I want you to think about this shimmy being nice and loose. So we'll alternate between perhaps a slightly wider stance. We'll bring it back to our home posture. We'll play with weight. I'll remind you about the kneecaps, but whatever you do, keep it slow. Since this is the music that worked for me today, we will be shimmying to Estampita's Chanzonetta Tedesca. Take a nice deep breath up. Keeping this nice and slow from our home posture. Here we go. No particular tempo for your shimmy. Slow is your tempo today. Yeah, nice and slow. Bounce, bounce, bounce. Think back, back, back. Relax the belly. Take a deep breath. Exhale. Excellent. Feel the feet on the floor, fully on the floor. Flat, nice, big, heavy feet. Keep those knees going back, 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 nice and slow. Roll the shoulders back, relax the chest, and breathe. Good. Keep it going a little bit longer, just like this. If you'd like, you can play with switching your weight or shifting it ever so slightly to the toes. What happens? Hold it there for a bit, see how that feels. Keep it slow. I see you trying to go fast. Keep it slow. Maybe shift your weight back towards the heels. What does that feel like? Beware of the kneecaps, right? Depending on how you shift your weight, your kneecaps might want to engage and pull up. Don't allow that to happen. Good. Breathe. Nice deep breath up. Keep that shimmy going. Excellent. Why don't we widen our stance a little bit? So open the legs a little bit. Maybe you'll find yourself shimmying more on one leg than on the other. It doesn't matter. Keep it slow. You can take it bigger if that feels good. Everything kind of jiggles. Nice and relaxed. Be sure you keep your pelvis tucked, but feel free to kind of come out of your beautiful lifted belly dance posture if you just want to relax into it. Good. Shift your weight a little bit. Keep it nice and big and loose. Shift it to the other side. Are you going slowly? Keep it going slow. Roll those shoulders back. Deep breath. Good. Keep it going. This should feel relaxing, right? If it's not relaxing enough, slow it down even more. Let's bring the feet back in. Back to our home posture. Maybe make it even bigger. What does that feel like? Take a deep breath in. Good. Keep it going. Breathe nice and deep. Back with those knees. Don't end up in a plie. We're not down here. Knees straight back. Almost there. One more big deep breath up. Beautiful job. So to recap one more time, the 3 tips to use towards an easier, looser, more reproducible, more dependable shimmy are: try doing it in different positions, wider leg stance, sitting on the ground, reminding your knees the movement that you want them to do. That gentle back is what's creating your shimmy. It's not the bend, it's the straighten. We're also going to concentrate on not pulling the kneecaps up and tightening up our shimmy, which creates a tight freeze. We want to be sure we come to straight, but not locked at any point in time. And the third, and certainly the most important tip in my book: start slow, especially if you have a hiccuping or an inconsistent shimmy that tends to freeze up or get too small. Do it slow, big, loose, and relaxed, and slowly build your way up to faster tempos. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I really hope it helps you accomplish the shimmies that you desire to have. Send me a note and let me know which of these tips worked best for you. Are you having trouble with your shimmies? What are your favorite kind of shimmies? I would love to know. And while you're at it, be sure to like this video and subscribe so that I can send you fantastic belly dance content every single week. Thank you so much for joining me, and I hope to dance with you soon.